Well, good afternoon and good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for this awesome live virtual program. As always, we have a lot of information coming your way, and we really appreciate you spending the time with us. Califlora, as you know, is committed to education and growing the industry through education. And it's with live virtual programs, in-person hands-on classes, and events like this that we're able to bring some of our team of experts to teach and inspire you. Today, we have a few special guests, some of our top florists who'll be joining us for a discussion and some additional ideas. We decided on the subject of this program because of the Planned Parenthood phrase that went viral during the pandemic. And when we researched and talked to florists recently, we discovered a new evolution of this popular way to enhance homes and offices. So before we get started, I wanted to cover a couple of housekeeping things briefly. First of all, we love your questions and feedback. So if you have any questions, please submit them through the Q&A function in your Zoom portal. I'll be asking the presenters throughout, and some questions we can answer offline. It really does help to keep our allotted time if you could input everything there. We're going to leave the chat open for comments and ideas, and we'll post links and other information in there. Of course, we would always love for you to follow us on social media. We have such a busy fall and winter season of education coming up, and that is by far the best way to keep up with everything that we have going on. Jenny's going to post the links in the chat box below. So if you don't already follow us, please do. We have an awesome, supportive, and resourceful group. And by building that community, we can all help each other. We'll be posting a recording of this program onto our YouTube channel. So please stop by there and like the video. And of course, subscribe to our channel. It doesn't cost anything. And we have a ton of other videos on there of other programs like this that we've done. Okay, good? So now we've got that boring stuff out the way. Let's get to the good stuff. We're joined today by Helen Miller, AIFD, and Jerome Raska, AIFD, both coming to you from Michigan. If you know them, they really need no introduction. Their design experience and passion for education is next level. If you don't know them, I'll be as brief as possible. Get your pens and note papers ready. I am proud to introduce to you Helen Miller and Jerome Raska, AIFD. Over to you, Jerome.
Oh, thank you. That was really quick. All right, good, beautiful. Yeah. Here I am. Well, welcome everyone. Gosh, it's exciting to see everyone and be part of this little workshop today about plants. Helen and I kind of talked it through. It's kind of fun when you're doing a program and you're bouncing back and forth between two presenters. So get ready for a fast and furious ride about plants. As Lottie already shared with you, you know, plants, as we all know, have become extremely popular. And as a retail flower shop owner, my presentation tonight is going to be pretty down to earth, mainly because I like to talk about and I like to promote what I actually sell. And what I actually sell is things that I can make money with. And as a retailer and as an owner, those are my most important statistics that I look for. How are our plant sales? How is our loss? And how much profit are we making on them? So hopefully that's something you can all relate to. I'm not big into anything extravagant. That's not our shop setting. We're pretty much an everyday retail flower shop. We do everyday walk-in clients. Even today, as we were setting up for this, I had a client compounding at the front door that they needed anniversary flowers. And so, of course, we let them in and rescued the moment for them. But so anyways, I wanted to start out with talking about merchandising. That seems to be a big concern at a lot of flower shops because plants tend to be secondary. I really encourage people to really put a little bit more effort into their plant area. And I did kind of a mock setup behind me of a shop setup, if you would. A couple things I really want to point out that we try to emphasize. One, we try to stock some merchandise that is on trend. So you will see a Sansevieria plant, you will see a fiddle leaf fig. Those are both on trend plants right now. We also try to stock some things that are a little bit more unusual. like this beautiful variegated philodendron plant, and this pothos here, which is a novelty variety, limelight pothos, which is also a little bit more novelty. The African mask plants, which is part of the more unique plant selection that we keep, because that's what our customers come to us for. They come for things that are a little bit more unique, and they also want us to carry containers. So you can see several of them are upgraded into ceramic containers. Some of them are in the Teleflora containers. Of course, we use the mod line, which is really great. The mosaic containers are popular, and we dropped in this little anthurium plant. It's a really great grab and go. We have a good walk-in clientele, so it's important for us to have all price points represented. This doesn't take but a second to put together. Don't have to do a lot of bells and whistles to it. It's a great sale. It's a long-lasting plant. People love it. It's not meant to last forever, which is also a good plus, and we educate our consumer. So keep that in mind. Some of the things that I think are most important is to assign someone in your shop to be in charge of the plants. And in many cases, that's nobody. Or they say, oh, we'll get to it. We're going to water. And then you get busy, and then they don't water. So I kind of make it akin to the checklist on the back of the door at the bathroom at McDonald's, if you will, because they always have that checklist, and you can see how often they've gotten cleaned. And you know, it works for them, while plant list worked for us, because we now have a plant list, and someone has to take care of the plants on a regular basis. We have the plant department set up in sections. And when I say department, this is not, I don't want to blow a bunch of smoke up anybody here. This is not, we don't have this monstrous shop. We moved into a flower shop now that is around 3,500 square feet at max. We used to be in a 10,000 square foot building, so we kind of put a pair of Spanx on, and here we are. But we're running and operating very efficiently, and our profits have skyrocketed because of it. So when I say a plant department, it could be 3 shelves. I don't care, but divide it up into sections and divide it up as to how it's going to be maintained. Maybe one has some lights in it because you have your succulents and things that require more lighting. That's one section. And then you have some that might not need quite as many. We all sell peace lilies. I don't have to talk to you about that. You know, peace lily in a basket with a bow, and the party's on, and we sell a ton of those. But that's not what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about some of the more uniqueness, the novelty containers. We carry some unique containers that people come in for. I love this little ladybug container. That's a fun little gift for somebody to put on their desk, or to give even as some of the youth that are starting to do plants, which is another great market for us, is to attract the children. Cactuses, aloes. Aloes is one of the most purifying plants you can have in your home. And so we sell a lot of those. We educate people. And of course, many people know them for their the gel inside the leaf for if you were to get a burn on yourself. But in the meantime, they're just a cool plant. So keep that in mind as well. So it's all about the merchandising as well as wall plants, as you can see over here. I've got this wonderful succulent garden on the wall, and I've got some wall pouches that we put some tillandsia plants in, or air ferns as people commonly call them. Got this great container here with the 3 terracotta pots. We just dropped some calanchos in them for the time being. And yeah, it works really well. And the key is to keep it fresh, keep it clean, and keep those plants rotating, just like you do in your fresh flower cooler. That's where I think as retail florists, we can really capture the moment and continue to ride the popularity of plants. What do you think, Lottie?
I love it. I really actually need some of the wall mounted ones that you have. I think they're phenomenal. And I'm guessing that they sell really well for you.
They do. They sell really well, and they're inexpensive. I mean, I think we retail them for like $24.99 and $29.99, depending on what we put in them. So they're really a great price point for that walk-in, grab-and-go customer.
Thanks, Jerome. And one quick question from one of our viewers. Where do you source your plants from?
Where do I source them from?
Yes.
That's a great question. I have several plant suppliers in the area that actually come to me with a truck. But I will tell you, everybody in this industry tends to be a lot like retail florists, and that is they get in a rut and they don't have a good mojo to get out of it. So I really have to force my plant suppliers to bring me something different and unique. So I encourage you to build that relationship with whoever you get your plants from, and really encourage them, because if they're getting plants, they can get different plants. They just don't bring them in because they don't think anybody wants them. But the reality is you do. So some of the ones that you're seeing here today, I had to really push for, and I got them a week ago just so I'd have them in time, because my normal supplier has normal stuff, different bacchia and peace lilies and all the things we would normally see. And I said, no, I want something different. I want to show these people what we normally carry. Oh, okay, one of those boxes is what he said.
I love it. Changing the shape of plant buying in your area. Thank you, Jerome.
Yes.
I think we're going to turn it over to Helen now, right?
Yes.
Helen.
Well, I'm excited to be here, first of all, and I'm glad that you're all here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how to educate your customers and things that they're going to ask, and care and handling, which is really important. They all want to know what to do with their plants after they purchase. And did you know that 66% of households in the United States bought at least one plant this year? So that's pretty exciting. That's a lot of people that are buying plants. And also 7 out of 10 people that bought those plants killed about 7 of them. So there's a great market, right? They're continually coming back for more advice. And I think that's really important, to be the go-to shop for plants and be the professional and know the information that people are looking for. Did you know that 90% of a plant is made out of water? That's an interesting fact you could share with your customers. And overwatering is probably the most common problem that people do with their plants. They overwater them. There is also ways to find out, are these people that are purchasing, are they nurturers? Do they love to fuss with their plants all the time and water them and check them every day or every hour? So those are the people that you want to not sell cactus to, because they're going to kill it right away, right? Or maybe there's someone that's purchasing a plant that's very busy, that travels a lot, that's not home a lot, and needs something low maintenance. So asking questions is really important as you're selling plants. But make sure that you have the information for your clients and how to take care of them. And like Jerome was saying, know the trends, know the different plants that are really popular, like the fiddle leaf fig. They do not like plant shine. They will not thrive. They like just water and wiping the leaves off. And when you're doing plant shine, it's really important. It says 15 to 18 inches away from the plant. How many of us are like, too close, and then you burn the leaves? So be careful with that leaf shine. It does make it pretty, but some plants definitely don't like it at all. New varieties. I love the rabbit foot fern, and it's in one of these beautiful purple mosaics. Like Jerome was saying, the philodendron or the pothos that is vining is really pretty, and I love it in this green mosaic container. I think it's beautiful. And then just some little novelty containers. Another peperomia. This is another popular kind of unique plant, and I think people are really drawn to the color. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing plants too. Most of the plants that I've been researching really don't care for bright direct sunlight, other than cactus and succulents. So make sure that they know that they like bright indirect sunlight. And watering once a week for most of them is plenty. And if they're really, really dry, we do this here, especially with the peace lilies. If they're really dry, and you can tell when they're dry, don't you? They just droop right over. So take a bucket or a tray, fill it with water and put the whole plant down into it, and it'll pull the water up through the bottom. And that's a better way to water than it is to the top. If that soil is really dry, how many times if you've watered it, the water goes right through and out the holes in the bottom? It's not absorbing it. So taking it from the bottom is a really great way in a tray to water your plants. And that's a good overall thing for your customers to do too. Another great thing to educate your customers is to do some really short, cute little videos. Instagram is a great place to go. There's one site that I really love. It's called Official Plant. It's on Instagram, and he does some really short little informational videos. It might be on how to repot a plant, or it might be on propagation, or it might be, like I just said, how to water a plant. So check those out and recreate them. Put them on Facebook or whatever your social media preference is. There's so many out there to choose from now. And then holding workshops in your business. So they don't have to be these long, like hour, 2-hour things. Maybe on a Saturday, maybe on an open house weekend. I don't know if you do a fall open house or a Christmas open house, but a great way to have a cute little workshop is to maybe do it on basic plant care. You know, that's easy. It maybe takes about 20 minutes or so to go through it. You could have multiple ones throughout the day. And it's a great way to build relationships with your clients. And you'd be surprised how many questions they ask, or like Jerome said, they're going to ask you about trend plants and how to take care of them or where they can get them. And always carrying, maybe possibly as an add-on sale, maybe some books on plants, and maybe having a library that you let your customers check out books and take home with them on plants or information. That's another great way, again, to build relationships for it too. Types of soil, I just want to hit on that really quickly. Most plants, like what I have here, like the peat moss, and then you like them to be amended. So I usually put perlite in my mix, and when you get it, the peat moss, it's usually super dry, so you need to get it in a bucket, put water in it, mix your perlite in there, and what that does is kind of give it the soil more air, or aerates it, so it's not so dense and the water can get through. It's better for the drainage. But perlite is just a little white pellet like, and again, it just helps to break that soil or the peat moss up so it's not so dense. So most soils have this in it, and I usually do the Miracle Grow because it does have some nutrients in the soil as well, so it always makes my plants really happy. And then if you're doing orchids, they do make a soil just for orchids, and I highly recommend this because orchids in nature grow onto trees, or excuse me, on different barks, and so they like their roots open and in the air, and so the bark isn't dense, and they'll let the moisture go through the soil to the roots, and it drains really, really easily. So they do make this. Oh, you don't need to see that number 2 on there. Just for me, but this is a really good medium for orchids. And I, again, would want to just talk a little bit about containers too. The teleflora containers are really wonderful, but if you have like this fiddle leaf fig, I want it to drain really easily. So it does have a hole on the bottom, and it is good that there is a place for drainage. If you're doing a container that does not have any drainage hole, make sure that you put some sort of drainage medium, like little pebbles or stones, that will help the water not to sit in the soil itself, that there's a barrier between that. And that is wonderful. I hope you enjoyed all those tips. And Lottie, are there any questions for me?
Yeah, thanks, Helen. That's awesome. And I've been taking notes because I love a Miracle Grow as well. Yeah. I know Juanita is the unit president for our Michigan unit, and is an incredible florist with several different locations, very successful, and we really appreciate you being on. Thank you, Juanita. And she has some great questions for you. And then I know Melissa has also been, just to kind of pick up a little bit what you were saying about holding those classes. in your shops, and Melissa has been doing that in her shop very successfully.
Oh,
So I'm going to go to Juanita first, and then Melissa will ask you to jump in. Hi, Juanita.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me this evening. I'm so glad you guys are doing a plant program. It's really important in our business. We move a lot of plants, and I've got some really good tips and tricks, but I want to ask Helen or Jerome. This is about the time of the year that our clients want to bring their plants out from outside inside. And, you know, there's annuals and perennials, and then you have your house plants. Do either of you have any really good tips that you could share with us so we could let our customers know what's really a good idea to do and what's not?
I have a whole deck full of plants, Juanita, and I bring them in and out. And you can see me on a cold, frosty night where it's a warning, running out and bringing them all back in. And then in the summer, in the daytime when it's nicer out, I'll bring them all back out onto the porch because they're happier out there. I do that for a while, but one tip I would say is make sure that there's no bugs on them. And I use an organic, natural bug killer. So just to make sure that I'm not bringing anything into my plants that are in the house regularly. But there's all different kinds of pest control out there, but I like to do the organic varieties. And just to be safe, you don't want to infect all of them. And if they've been out all summer like mine have, I just want to make sure that there's no bugs coming into my house. So that's one of the tips I would give them.
Really good point, Helen. Thank you. Jerome, what about you? How about your tips?
Yes, I just wanted to say one thing that I think is really beneficial is to, well, first of all, I know we have listeners all over the place, and some of them are probably saying, what's this frost thing you speak of?
Yes, exactly.
So it's when it gets really cold. So, and we actually have some of that already hitting us in Michigan. And Juanita, you're a little bit north further, and I know you're kind of hitting towards that 32 mark already, pretty close, anyways. So
Yeah, we pulled everything in tonight.
With that being said, my suggestion is to do it gradually. So bring it in, and like Helen said, bring it in, and then she takes it back out when it's nice during the day. Because if you just take a plant from being outside and enjoying the environment that it had, and then just quickly moving it indoors, it's going to go into shock. It's just going to do that. And so, like, a lot of times people try to bring in their springerai ferns, which will just totally shed. Because it'll just cause this disastrous shedding going all over. It'll grow back from the root system. So maybe that's part of what I want to say is that, A, if you can do it back and forth a little bit to gradually bring them in and acclimate them to the house, it'll help alleviate some of that initial shock. And then also, if you can keep it in a cooler place when you bring it indoors, because sometimes here in the cooler weathers, when it gets indoors, the other thing we like to do is turn our furnaces on. And then the house gets warmer, and it's not used to that. It's used to being outside. So you got to be careful where you position them too, so that you're not putting them by a heat duct or where they're anything that's too warm. Some of us have fireplaces. Clearly, that's not a good issue to have your plant by the fireplace. So a lot of things that obviously only pertain to those in those freeze zones.
Thank you, Jerome. Great question, Juanita. We appreciate you and great answers. I'm going to add Melissa into this conversation because I know Melissa, just kind of touching on the classes in your shop. I'm going to attempt to post some of the photos that you sent me ahead of time. So if I can in the chat there, but in the meantime, if you wouldn't mind just kind of elaborating a little bit on the classes that you have in your shop.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. As you can tell, I love plants, and they're by my fireplace right now, just for the show. But my plants grew tremendously during the pandemic. I increased my family quite a bit, as you can see. I own 2 shops in Wisconsin, and we love hosting succulent classes. We actually probably have had 30 in the last couple years, just because we would sell out constantly. And we would get all types of people that would come in, from little kids to grandmas to, dates would come in for these classes, and we just found them so cute. It was pretty easy. We just would get like different kind of boxes. We kept it very simple. We would choose like a box or like a urban tin that they could choose from, and quite a few different succulents that they could choose from. And then we had Rubbermaids that we put all the soil in on our workstations, and then had another kit that they could do either like mosses or greens. And the best thing is we would get like little paint brushes, because everyone would be really messy with their succulents. And so they kind of would like clean up their succulents afterwards. But it was a very easy class. If anyone's thinking of doing classes, this is definitely like a beginner class. Giving tips and tricks of how to take care of them really filled the space. Classes, would take maybe like, 30 to 45 minutes. And then I'd encourage people to kind of walk around, even though they were all the same plants in a sense. People would put them in different areas, and people would walk around and could tell that they environed different boxes. And it was just a really cool experience. Yeah.
Thanks, Melissa. I did put a little link in the chat there to your Facebook page so people can see the photographs. Quick question: what about your pricing for your classes there? Because I know that's a question that comes up very regularly.
Yes, it was $40 per person, and that we felt covered the materials, our time, our prep, and then obviously the instructors' time that they were there. So, and like I said, we would fill up.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. We appreciate you. We obviously have some very passionate people in here, because I've got a lot of questions that I'm going to try and get in the right order. But another quick care and handling question, and I'll just throw it out there, whoever
Sure.
wants to answer it. What about lighting for bringing those outdoor plants in?
Like I said earlier, Lottie, that most plants like indirect bright light. So knowing what your plant requires, first of all, it is going to take some adjustment when those plants come in, because they've been outside with consistent bright light. So you may lose a few leaves here and there, or they may, turn a little, yellow, because the light will be different in your house. But I wouldn't be concerned. I mean, there are grow lights if that's something that you want to invest in. That work really well, but it's just part of bringing them in and out. I do also really quickly want to share. I sent Lottie this PDF of 2 different plant care things, and this one says top 10 indoor house plants and most toxic plants to animals, and this one is indoor plants that give off the most oxygen. We got calls on these all the time, and I made these so that you could print them out and then frame them up like this and put next to your plants, so that people can just read it. You don't have to constantly tell them that they can just read it. Super helpful. And they really appreciated it too. And when they were choosing plants, they kept that in mind.
That's a great idea. Thanks, Helen. And we will post those on the Facebook page, as well as drop them in the chat here very shortly. Thank you, Helen. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Jerome.
Thanks, Lottie. And yeah, Helen and I are both passionate about what we're doing, so we keep crossing over on each other's topics. So it's all good.
Sorry.
It's all good. And it's all about plants, and so that's what we're doing. So actually, what I wanted you to do is take a close look at all these plants that are currently on my table. And then, Lottie, what do you think they all have in common? Are you there, Lottie? Maybe not.
Sorry, I
Maybe
muted myself. No, I'm here.
All right.
You're putting me on the spot now.
I am. Come on, you're the leader.
Well, I was going to say they're all in Teleflora containers, but they're not. Go.
Well, close, but no, you're correct. They're not. One is. Anyways, I'll let you off the hook. Actually, much like Helen was just addressing, these are all plants that are pet safe. And that was something that we really discovered as everyone became plant parents over the pandemic. A lot of them, in fact, over 90 million households have a pet of some sort. Most of them dogs, second is cats. There's probably a few goldfish and a few other things in there too, but I don't think they care about your plants. But dogs and cats for the most part. And so we quickly did the same thing Helen did, and we created a list of the common house plants that are toxic to pets, some of the most common ones that are toxic, and then we did a list of the ones that are pet friendly. And we have this and have it hanging in our plant area, and we make it very available for them, so that we certainly don't want to be responsible for someone's pet not being well. But all of these plants on this table, so a ponytail palm, I love ponytail palms. They are a really great plant, and so fun. I love them. They look like a big hairdo coming out the top, and they're easy to care for. They don't take a lot of water, and they're pet friendly. I would have thought that it wasn't, just because, boy, I used to have a cat, and I know what a cat would want to do with this. But they're pet friendly, so they're very good to have around the house when you have pets. Phalaenopsis orchid plants, bromeliads, which we dressed up a little bit in one of the bamboo boxes from Teleflora, added a couple pieces of driftwood. Keep in mind that although plants are most popular with women, it's only by 1%. 50 point something women like plants, and 49 point something men are plant lovers. So keep that in mind, and keep that in mind for doing some options that are a little bit more masculine for gift giving, as well as for people coming in to just purchase a plant. We have a fair amount of men that come in and buy plants on a regular basis. I just love these containers. Pretty much every company these days is making containers with some sort of face or something on them. This is kind of fun. And I just put this calathea plant in here. Again, a plant that's pet friendly. So very important to know and to remind your clients. And also the tillandsias, air ferns. I love these little terrarium containers we have. They have a little leaded glass effect to them. And just put a few river rocks in there, some moss, and we put 3 tillandsias down in there. And it's a really great desktop container, or if they wanted to get a collection of them, they could hang them at different heights in the corner of a room or something like that. And of course, the palm plant is also a pet-friendly plant. Again, you can see we just put it in a nice container. We upgrade our plants often into nice keepsake containers. If you ever need to put a plant in a container and it's too low, we just use green styrofoam sometimes in the bottom. We also, because we like to repurpose and reuse, often we'll use those big, thick clumps of styrofoam that come in with your Teleflora containers. We save some of those sheets that the containers are packed in, and they also make great lifts in the bottom of the container to raise your plants up if you need to give them a little bit of lift to make them a little bit showier. Any container that doesn't have drainage, we always put pea gravel in the bottom and give it a little drainage of maybe about 1 inch or so, depending on the size of the container, just so that a plant is never setting in water. I know, as Helen said, care and handling tips are important, and overwatering is the #1 reason that plants tend to pass on before their time. The average plant parent shopping for plants during the pandemic spent $124.50, according to the internet. So we certainly noticed it with sales here at our shop. People coming in and loving plants, and still to today, as we're now in the new era of plant parenting, as that is where spouses and friends are coming in to replace the plant that they killed. So they're regifting a new plant because the first plant didn't make it too well. So we're doing our best to educate. We're keeping it a light, uplifting thing, but it's because we stock and carry a unique collection of plants that people keep coming back. As I said earlier, we don't have a really large shop, but we have a very unique and nice selection of plants. We try to keep it fresh and clean, and we try to circulate them out, just like Juanita said, she moves a lot of plants. So do we. We move them on out of here quickly, and that's important because honestly, I don't want to have to take care of them. I'd rather get new ones in, dress them up, and keep rotating that plant stock just like we do our fresh floral product, is rotate them out. First plants in are the first ones out, and that type of thing. So keep that in mind as you work on your plant department. Again, I think Helen already said she sent in the list for the plants that are pet friendly and maybe the toxic ones as well. If not, I can get this list over to Lottie to post as well and make it available for all of you. And yeah, keep in mind, people that love plants more than likely also love pets. So it's a great thing to keep in mind when you're promoting and marketing your plants, is to market those pet friendly ones.
That's awesome advice. Thanks, Jerome. I love how you've dressed up the bromeliad, and it just seems like a very simple, you know, kind of thing there, but it just has kind of maximum impact and gives it sort of that extra perceived value.
These are just a couple pieces of driftwood that we stuck in there. It's some of the things that we have on our plant bar when people want to plant their own terrariums or dish gardens.
It's super effective. I did get a little message here from David Clark, who wanted to share some information with us. So here we go. He has had a customer ask, why won't their kitty stop chewing on the spider plant? He has since discovered that they are slightly hallucinogenic to cats, even more so than catnip, but they are not toxic. So I don't know whoever needed to hear that right now, but I just found that fascinating information. And I'm just getting the kind of the overall sense of people's passion about plants, which is amazing. Jerome, quick question for you. How should we be pricing plants? Is it the same kind of formula that you use for floral designs, or how do you do it?
Our plants are generally marked up 3 times. And depending on how elaborate we get, I don't necessarily charge a labor fee if I'm just taking a plant such as this and putting it into a novelty container. We add the price of the container, which is already marked up, obviously, to retail. So we add the retail price to a 3 times of the plant cost. And that's kind of how we market our plants, and seems to do just fine for us.
That's great, and it seems like a really you know, an easier way to get the money in there. So that's great. Bridget, I know you have a question for us. I wonder if we could put you on the spot here.
I do. Hey, Jerome. Hey, Helen. Amazing program. And I have a flower shop, and we are expanding. And here's my question to you. You have some beautiful colors there, the reds, the greens, the neutrals. Do you recommend keeping your plants together as a grouping, you know, on your showroom floor for merchandising, or decorate with them throughout your showroom? What would you think?
Great question. The majority of them I would definitely keep in a color block section in your shop, because that's what's going to sell. As you're merchandising, we have to remember our goal is to sell merchandise. So the best way to sell merchandise is when you group it. If I have bromeliads out there, I'm not going to polka dot them all around my store. I'm going to have 10 or 15 bromeliads in a nice display, maybe some of them accented differently and things like that, so they have a choice to choose from, but at the same time, it makes a statement. And so I think that's pretty much true with any merchandising, is the more you can put for visual impact all in one place, the better it is. I'm not opposed if you have a lot of giftware and things, like if you want to put a beautiful fern on a stand over by a soap display or something, just because it does make a statement there, that's fine. But I will caution you that the ultimate sin is those plants often get forgotten when it's time to take care of them. And so then you have a dead fern by your soap display. Never too pretty.
I have found that to be true myself. So thank you for your honesty, because I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Bridget. Helen, I think we're over to you. Oh, you're muted. Could you unmute yourself?
How's that?
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about plant parenting, which, as Jerome said, is a huge trend. It started during COVID, and it's continued. People are loving the plants, and that group that's really loving them is the Gen X and the millennials, which is the 26 to the 41-year-olds. They really like to invest in like experiences. They like, you know, that comfortable, cozy. They usually live in smaller apartments or smaller homes, or just starting out in life, a lot of them. So just finding smaller items is a really great thing. And also the 70s and 80s are back, guys. So these are from Syndicate Sales, this peace sign planter, and then this togetherness planter, which is giving you a big hug. So am I. But those are kind of those novelty things that those younger generations really love. Also, this modern mod container, mid-modern mod, you know, this is very contemporary with the wood base from Teleflora. I love it. But to give it a little personality and the investment that you want them to have that experience is, why not put a couple little googly eyes on it? And, you know, it just makes you smile. That would appeal to that younger generation. And then also, you know, the aloe plants, the holistic plants, the plants that, you know, like Jerome was saying earlier, where it's known that if you cut it and the insides of the plant are very healing for burns and sunburns. So they're interested in that type of thing. Peppermint is a herb, or chamomile. Those are the types of things that are really appealing to this generation. I'm going to hand these off really quickly. But it's interesting, like, you know, Jerome and I grew up in the 70s, 80s, and it's really fun to see all these different things coming back. The other thing that's coming back, and I know it's been here for a little while, is macrame. So all right, and I don't really like to advertise for other companies, but I went to Hobby Lobby because when I went to North Dakota Floral Association a week ago, which, hello everyone, I made a plant hanger out of yarn and PVC pipe, and it was very simple. I put a swag on it, and they went crazy. So I wanted to show you this as well. But I went to Hobby Lobby, and they had a 50% off sale on all their wall pieces. So this little hanger only costs $3.50, half off, and I can't make it for that and the time. So I just added this little rope here in the center so I could make it a little air plant holder. Super simple. And then I had some scraps of dried materials, but you could do silk or on it, and it's just really super cute. I mean, for $3.50, and then I would mark this up and sell it for probably $40 with the little Telancia in there as well. So it's a good money maker. You never know where you're going to find your inspiration. And I have one more here. This is also half price. This was $10, so I got it for $5 at Hobby Lobby. And then just adding this little swag on there, wired it on. And I'm going to take this beautiful air plant, and I just made this is a paper, or not a paper cover. This is a regular wire, 18 gauge, that I took stem wrap so that it won't rust or hurt this Telancia. And then just made a hairpin and just wove it through the fronds there. And I'm just going to wire this in. Now, air plants, you have to mist them, or you can soak them to keep them alive for about 20 to 30 minutes in water. It's very important that you shake out the water in the center, because that's where they'll rot. If you have any dried leaves, you can trim them off, but they just like a little squirt of moisture. And if you do soak them, look at that, isn't that cool? I would put that in my house. You can, if you soak them periodically, and again, do that during the growing season, just like any other plant, put like a quarter, just a very little bit of fertilizer liquid in there and let it soak. And that way you'll get some nutrients too. But what a fun idea. And the millennials and the Gen X's or Gen Z's love this look. Been very popular. There we go. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about kokedamas. I know they're nothing new, but I think they're super cool. And let me turn this around. This is your direction. Kokedama is actually a type of bonsai. Japan, it means hanging moss ball. And these actually came from syndicate sales as well. And when I purchased it, they come with a little hanger on them, but you can take that off like I did here. And I like to walk through the hardware stores. So I took some copper pipe, I'll lift this up here, it's a little heavy, and then some copper wire and just wrapped it. I don't know if you can see that, wrapped it around this Michigan rock. It's very collectible. And took my kokedama and put the plant inside. These come with a hole on it or in it already, but if you want to make one, they're super simple. You would just take some sheet moss, green sheet moss, lay it out, put your potting medium, your soil in there, and then take your plant, and you're just going to pull that moss up around your plant. The moss needs to be wet, and so does the soil, so that it will hold together. Once you get it all bound or pulled up together, you're going to take the wax string and wrap around there to hold it all in place. For care and handling of a kokedama, you would just take this and put it in, take it off your hanger and put it in a bucket of water and let it soak. You want to do this maybe about once a week, depending on what type of plant you have. When you take it out, you just want to squeeze it a little bit to get the excess water out of it. And it should be good for another week. But it's really super easy to make these. And I think they're really modern and interesting looking. I'm going to hand this off to Janet. And they do come in different sizes as well. And then that got me thinking, okay, let's do something really fun. So I don't know if you can see this. Maybe I can put it up here. This was something I saw at a craft store or craft fair when I was in South Haven, Michigan. And I'm like, I can do this. I don't know about you, but I'm all crazy about gems and rocks. And I have several around the store. That's what made me think of doing that other one. But all it is the Oasis aluminum wire, and it's just wrapped around this rock. And then to do the curls, you would just take whatever size pen or whatever instrument you want to use, and you just wrap the wire around your pen, and then you can loosen it up like so to make your coils. And obviously I used a bigger one, but it's really simple to do. You can put your little gem or your air plant in there. And again, you're just going to take this out, mist it or soak it. But it's just a cool idea. They were selling these for about $45. It took me seconds to do this. This is just a little bead that I have there. The Talancia is like $10 for that. This little guy was like $2. Really simple. If you have a younger crowd walk in that would be interested in this, I feel like this look goes really good with all the other plants that you can offer. And the same idea with this one. I did not make this, I purchased this one, but it's got a piece of glass and a tiger eye up there. And again, you all are so creative. I'm sure you could do this yourselves, but I just wanted to show you the different ideas. These would be great for Christmas, if you have a lot of walk-in at that time. So plant care is super simple for the kokedamas. And Jerome, I think it's back to you.
Thank you, Helen.
Uh-huh.
Great, very simple yet effective. I love the upgrades, and it's really interesting to find out what's selling.
I sell a lot. I live in a college town, so I have a lot of walk-in, and there's a lot of younger people that come in, and they're all about that type of look, the kokedamas and the air plants. They're a great seller.
Love it. Thank you, Helen. Wow, Jerome, go over to you. This looks incredible.
Well, you know, I had to do a set change.
Of course. That I wondered why you would turn the camera off. I was getting worried.
It's either one of two things: set change or go to the bathroom. But I did a set change. Gotta love virtual. Anyways, like Melissa was talking about earlier, and her workshops and things that she does, we do them as well. And I wanted to share a little bit about how we set it up, and we kind of make it interactive for them. So we set up a little station. So the first station, as you can see, would be they get to select a container, and we put whatever containers we want to put out there for that particular moment. So in this particular case, we have a little bubble bowl. We put one of those leaded handled terrariums, and then of course the Teleflora bamboo cube. And then the next section would be select a plant. And again, it varies. We can either do a succulent class, or we can do little terrarium plants, which we have found to be equally as popular. People just want to come and have fun and be interactive. And then once they've got the plants, and as you can see, it says select 2, and then you go to the next station, which these are all of the little cans of moss, and I think Melissa said she used Rubbermaid bins, but we have all these tin containers, and we wanted to make it kind of a little bit more kitschy, if you would. So we have like river rocks and all the different little add-in stuff that you can put in your terrarium is all on each table. We have a whole display on each table because we use tables much like the one I'm working on, and we put 4 people at each table. And so it works out really well. But before we let them get into it all, we give them a little education on plants, and specifically on terrariums, if that's what we're doing the class on. And so first we speak of terrariums like many of us would carry in our shop. This terrarium is certainly readily available from a lot of suppliers across the country. It's a terrarium pre-made. I buy it pre-made from a supplier. We sell a lot of them. It's great. They're on our website. It's kind of a no-brainer. I buy it, I mark it up, I sell it. Done. When we sell fresh flowers to add in here, what I think is really elegant is a water tube with like 2 or 3 Cymbidium orchid blooms, and it really dresses it up and gives it that next level, and people have that perception with the orchids. So we do that a lot, especially for like sympathy work, or somebody giving an office gift for a business opening or something like that. The next thing, as far as an open terrarium, is we use this footed bowl, and this is one we planted our own, and you can kind of see the different types of succulents and plants and the rocks that we put in there. And again, these are both examples of open terrariums. When they come to a workshop, we have a whole typed up, printed out sheet that we give them that educates them about how to care for an open terrarium. Much like Helen said, you could just use a mist bottle and spray them and keep them moist enough. You don't want to overwater them, because both of these do not have holes for drainage. So you got to be careful with how much water you give a plant like this. Plus, succulents definitely don't like a lot of water. And then we talk about closed terrariums, which this one is, and that is the one that's totally covered. A lot of times you'll see them like in an apothecary jar with a lid or something like that. But I wanted to talk too about it's important to partner in with something in your area if you could. In this particular case, we had the opportunity. This is a company called Leadheads, and actually it's a couple young guys that salvaged lumber and leaded glass windows from some of the homes in the city of Detroit, and they repurposed them and made them into terrariums. So it was a great tie-in for us as a business, because they had a very active social media presence, and we tied in with it by having their terrariums available here at the shop. Each terrarium comes with a complete story about what that was about and why they have these and how they were made and that type of thing. So it's a great way to kind of do something unique and different that none of our competitors have, and at the same time tie in with the community, and people are really receptive with that. So I highly would recommend that if you have the option to tie in with some community of some sort, whether it be a company, or whether it be like we're working right now on a campaign where we National Coffee Day is coming up, and we're actually going to work with a local coffee shop, and we're going to promote with them that it's National Coffee Day, go and buy your coffee and bring your receipt into our flower shop and have special savings on whatever we decide to do, which we didn't decide yet because we really just talked about this about 2 hours ago. So we're like most other flower shops, we just kind of fly with it. And so, but we thought it would be fun, and it's a great way to, again, be supportive of another business in town. So now we're gonna promote to all of our database about National Coffee Day. And this gal started a coffee shop. She actually retired from her regular career and opened up a coffee shop because she was bored, and she's killing it. And she's brewing her own, roasting her own beans and all that type of thing, and just really doing a great job with this coffee shop. And because of that, we want to tie in and kind of ride on each other's coattails, if you will, and help promote, again, something within the community. People really like that. It makes you feel like you're helping a business that's helping another business, and people are really appreciative of that. They want to be part of they want to see that you're part of the community. And I think that's really important. So when we do our terrarium classes or offer our classes, we also offer them for people to have a private event. They can book a private event with us, and since it is private, they can bring their own bottles of wine if they want. We can't serve it, but they can bring their own, and we have private people host them for like baby showers and bridal showers, where we actually will do a demonstration of a couple larger terrariums, and we'll give that to the honoree to keep for the night, and then everyone else gets to make one to take it home. So people are always looking for something a little bit different to do. And so we offer that, and it's been a really big hit. Obviously, we did a lot of it pre-COVID, and we're just now getting started back up with it again, and we're going to be offering some coming up. And I'll talk about that in my next section about a couple of things we're doing with the community and how it'll tie in with the groupings as well. But again, as Helen said, I don't always talk about other places, but some of the things to go in with your terrariums, the little gems and the sands and all that. I got all of these items at, we refer to it as the boutique because we never call it the Dollar Tree, but that's where we got it. And it's really great, and it's prepackaged, and it's wonderful. And while you're doing it, I wanted to mention earlier, make sure that you're doing some small bags of soil. Buy a big bag of soil, put a soil in a corsage bag, figure out how much it needs to be, and sell small bags of soil. When people come to buy plants from you and they're going to transplant, they don't need a 30 or 40 pound bag of soil. They just need a little bag, and they'll pay whatever you put on it for a price because it's convenient and it's right there. So hopefully that helps you, and hopefully it's some ideas that you can take and do in your shop and start to make revenue, and also bring in a whole new perspective as how they can come and do their own.
Thanks, Jerome. Awesome advice, and I love the community aspect of it. It's a super important thing for me too, and for what we do for education for Teleflora. And I did put in your contact, the leadheadblast.com. I put that in the chat, so feel free to copy and paste that, everybody who's watching. And yeah, we're going to turn it over to Helen now. Oh, and I also wanted to remind everybody, National Coffee Day is Saturday, October 1st.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't say when it was.
No, that's okay. It's important, though. Coffee is important.
Very important.
It is very important. I could use a cup of that right now. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about weddings, events, and plant rentals. And I think it's really important. I've been doing a couple different weddings this year with plants as the centerpieces, and it's been really fun. And it is those plant parents or plant loving youngsters that are getting married that want to incorporate those in their weddings. I think it's so much fun. I had so much fun doing it. So this is kind of a setting that I actually did for one of the weddings, and using the Teleflora mercury glass containers. And like Jerome said, I save a lot of the styrofoam or the peanuts, styrofoam peanuts, and put in the bottom just for drainage, and then planted my plant on top of that. And then with the colored reindeer moss from syndicate sales, I just think it really ties in and brings it, elevates the look a little bit more. It looks great with this little pink polka dot plant. And that was actually the color of the bride's wedding. And then adding in candles, because candlelight is always wonderful, and renting out these moss mats, it really made a beautiful, beautiful centerpiece, something really elegant. The other one that I did with plants was similar, but we did it all with these little clay pots, and I just used Design Master paint and covered the clay pot, but I did do a clear sealer over top of it because the paint can rub off the terracotta. So just be aware of that. And did put a little bit of a liner inside so that the plant the water wouldn't leak through or change the color of the terracotta like it does when you water your plants, you know that. The other thing that I've been doing, and I have gotten so much revenue off of, is fern plants. I usually buy 10 every year, and wholesale I usually pay about $16, and I use them and rent them all summer long for $25. So for $160 cost for the 10, it's really an incredible thing. And then I'll always add in like enhancements to them. So I do silk flowers or the pampas grass or ribbon, and it ends up being another $45. So, you know, that plus the plant itself really, you know, like 65, 70, depending on how much you're putting in it. They look beautiful going down an aisle. If someone wants like the stumps for outdoor weddings or a little shepherd hook, this is a really, really showy, great way to bring in nature in that aisle and make it really dramatic. Selling them up front by maybe an archway, or some of the venues are so blah, you know, they're so white or there's not much to them. Bringing plants in just brings the space alive. So that's a great idea. And I do want to give a shout out to Miss Julie Poltler, who is also an educational specialist, because she shared an idea with me. I had some bouquets to do with succulents, and she shared with me, you can take a rose stem or whatever type of stem you want to use, and take an 18 gauge wire, and I'll hold this up here, 18 gauge wire right through your stem and cut it to about a ½ inch or so. And then you're going to take your succulent, which you've already cut off or purchased that way, and you're going to just put some Oasis glue, the cold glue there, and maybe a little bit more on your stem, and you're going to let it sit for a minute to let that glue get tacky. And then you're just going to take the wired end of your stem and poke it through your succulent. This is wonderful when you're doing bouquet work because you don't want anything really bulky. And sometimes just wiring the succulent, it gets a little floppy and doesn't hold. This is a great idea. So thank you, Julie, for sharing that with me. I really appreciate it, and I have used it quite a bit. The other idea that I had was to do the mid-modern, I don't know if you can see this, mid-modern container. And I took, again, that succulent and did it the same way and added some dried materials to it as an enhancement. And we did these for the bridal shower for one of the weddings. And so I just added that in. So I've got a little succulent in there and a beautiful container, and they use these for centerpieces too. I love these ideas and I love sharing them with everyone. So again, thank you, Julie. And we're gonna go to corporate now. I've got a couple ideas for you for theme parties. Sorry. Give me just a second here. So I do a lot of events, and I wanted to do something that would show off for a theme party. And so I thought, well, this would be super cute in the mosaic container for Mardi Gras with the oh my goodness, what are these? Peacock feathers, there we go. And the balls. What I love about this, these little wicker balls are colored, but they're not so tall or they're not so wide that they're going to be in your eye line. But then again, they can either auction these off, which they have done before for fundraisers, or take them home for the guests afterwards. And the great thing about using plants for events is you can get these done way in advance. You can plant them up for weddings weeks ahead so that when you're in crunch time, everything goes super smooth because you've got all your work done. Okay, and then I have another mosaic here that I've taken a beautiful orchid, and the orchids are probably one of my favorite plants, and they're so versatile and they hold up so well. It looks great in this mosaic container as well, the purple one. But I've just taken Metalino and then the bouillon wire and wrapped around it. It's on 2 of the bamboo stakes and they're all attached, but I love the way your eye just goes through this arrangement. It makes it twice as tall and it's showy for an event. Again, for a tropical party, this could be really, really lovely wedding work. And it has that little bit of glitz to it, especially with the container, but I just think this is really lovely too. And then we are getting into fall, and really quickly, all I did here was take some wheat and added in some preserved leaves that are the white, which I really like those too. Tied some ribbon around it. And this is just a garland that I have around the basket. And I just wired in some little tufts of the pampas grass to it and then glued that in. But it's really quick and easy. If you want to upgrade, if you have a funeral that you wanted something really showy for, or a business opening, this might be a really great way to go. And I just have 2 more, just 2 more. I couldn't stop myself, you guys. These are the bamboo containers from Teleflora. Jerome and I both love these containers. They come in all different sizes and shapes, and they're super fun. This is another one that I showed for my plant program in North Dakota and the Min Dakota Teleflora unit, and they really like this as well. So these are actually just embroidery hoops, and what I like about them, they're very inexpensive. I think the little ones are only like $1.99, but you get 2 because you take them apart. And I had some leftover burlap from a wedding that I cut placemats out of, so I just took the pieces, the strips, and wrapped around there and took some jute, wove it back and forth, added some silk leaves to it. But what I really like for corporate is, first of all, it's tall, showy, it's distinctive in an office setting. I think this is very appropriate. This could be Christmas, this could be every day, it could match the colors of the office. You wouldn't have to put anything in it, but I like to add in and make this a little plant hanger for your air plants. These actually are silk, but you could add in fresh ones. So I'm going to just tuck these here. But how cute is that? It's super textural, masculine, but it's very distinguished, and I really love this. This is they call it lasagna plant or bird's nest fern, which again is really trendy, pretty easy to care for, lower light. So there's an idea for you. And the last corporate piece that I have, I try to push plants a little bit for offices just because they are so good. They're uplifting. They make you feel good when you have them. Everybody that is in an office that has plants feels uplifted and happier, more creative. And did you know that plants remove 87% of all the air toxins in just 24 hours? That's pretty amazing. That's a reason for everybody to have plants, right? Indoor plants reduce fatigue. There's been a study made where they feel that it reduces coughs, sore throats by 30% in your home. So another reason to have plants in your house. And they're just darn pretty. So this one also is a trellis from Syndica Sales, and I just attached some clear water tubes, which I like the sparkle on those, and put it into this beautiful Swiss cheese plant, which again is another trend plant. And I'm just going to pop in some color here. And these could be used for, again, multiple uses. It could be for a business opening. It could be for sympathy. It could be for, again, a business. And I just like that pop of color. And I like that it's really transparent. You can see through it. It's tall. This doesn't take up a lot of space. So it's a really great way to showcase plants. And another way to enhance your sales is to offer a maintenance program for these plants. If you have enough help or are interested, offer to come in weekly and take care of their plants and charge them an extra fee for that. There's definitely a need, and I think your clients would be really receptive to having someone come in and not having to do all the work for it. Okay, well, I have do this. Here we go. Is there any questions for me, Lottie? I'm zipping through that because I know time is getting a little long here.
Yeah, we are kind of running tight on time, but amazing ideas though, Helen. Really fabulous, and some great time savers and kind of maximum impact as well. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Jerome, I think is doing. I don't know. He's either doing a scene change or what's happening now. I'm going to put you on, Jerome. Over to you, my dear.
Hello, darling.
Hello.
I'm back. Yes, another set change. So, Helen, those were amazing designs. So thank you for that. Yes, they're beautiful. Actually kind of got a sneak peek because I was following you on social media and I saw a couple of those designs from when you did your show a few weeks ago. But anyways, what I wanted to share now is really to talk briefly, because I know we're running out of time. I told Helen not to use all the time, but I knew she would. And we joked about it when we were practicing. Anyways, I wanted to talk about social media, because you can really use your social media platforms to promote plant sales in your shop, along with all your other sales that you're doing. As I said at the beginning, I'm a retail flower shop. I do things that make money. I do things that I can do quickly. I do things that our staff can do very easily without a lot of training. So on social media, there's simple things you can do, like post a picture of a beautiful plant in a container, like I did here with the limelight philodendron and the pothos, which is in the philodendron family, in the mod container. Post a picture of this and say, I really need a name for my plant. It's sitting on my table and I don't know what to call it. And have people go crazy with interaction, naming your plant. It's silly things like that on social media that love to get interaction. For our fresh floral giveaways, we've always done Win It Wednesday, and we would do fresh flower giveaway. We'd post a picture of an arrangement, and we'd say, post a comment and share this on social media, and you'd be entered to win the potential to win the arrangement. You can do that with plants as well. Also, offering something that they don't normally see. Your cactus trio that we have here, or or focus on trends. Talk about what plants are trending right now. As we said earlier, the fiddle leaf fig plant. So post a photo of it, say we've got a new selection of them in, and if this is a plant that's on trend, you'll want one in your office or your home, and then maybe put a couple facts with that. Don't always try to sell something in your social media posts. Try to really educate. People love education, and the more you can make that interactive, the better. As I said earlier about the pet-friendly ones, people will love that. Make sure you post a few pictures of pet-friendly plants and say, we have a nice supply now, but we wanted to remind you, these are ones that are pet-friendly. So keep that in mind. This is, as Helen did earlier, a little fall basket. This is a croton plant, a compacta, a pothos plant, and a beautiful multicolored kalanchoe plant that's in here. Just a nice fall collection. If you want to upsell it, we carry these silly butterfly stems, and we sell the heck out of these because we educate people that butterfly in many religions is a sign of resurrection and new life. So when we're selling sympathy flowers, we can sell this as an add-on in a hot minute. In fact, sometimes people will buy 2 and 3 of them and add them in. But you can see how simple it is just to add something like that into a basket. It adds a little life to it. It makes their piece stand out at the funeral home. But again, when we're talking about social media, post things about sympathy plants as well, because sympathy, sometimes we complain our sympathy work isn't maybe where it needs to be, but people don't know what to do. Most people that are dealing with a loss in their immediate family have never had a loss before. So they really don't know what to do. and they're counting on you to educate them. I know sometimes people say, oh, you're going to promote sympathy flowers on social media. And the reality is, promote the feelings that it creates, promote the comfort that it creates. Send someone some comfort today if you just lost a loved one. We're also sending more and more plants and flowers to people that have lost a close pet. As I said, people have plants, people have pets. Pets are like their children. And if they've lost a pet, I can't tell you how many arrangements we've done in this past month just for people getting flowers because their pet passed away and their neighbors or their family wants to let them know that they're thinking of them. So keep that in mind too. Also, peace lilies. It wouldn't be a plant show if I didn't show a peace lily. Come on, this is my best moneymaker right here. And we sell a ton of them, but we can put them in a nice upgraded container. Also, we promote putting a cemetery cone on the inside, and we can put a fresh floral arrangement in there that way, and it becomes a beautiful floral treatment that after the services or after the event, if you want to use it by each side of a podium, someone will have a plant to keep afterwards. It's a great way to upgrade some of the plants that we sell on a regular basis and upgrade them very easily, cost effectively, and the show that you get for that is amazing. So just keep that in mind. Social media is a powerful tool. You can do plant of the week. You can do name this plant, as I said, of course, win this plant. The other thing, make it interactive for your staff. Get your team involved. Even if you have 3 people working at your shop, I don't care how big your shop is, it doesn't matter, but everyone picks a plant or picks a container and dresses it up with a plant or whatever, and then you promote them and ask that individual to put it out on social media along with your social media platforms, and maybe post all 3 of them together or 2 or 3 at a time and say, pick your favorite plant or something like that, and have a small internal contest, and they get a gift certificate to Starbucks or whatever you want to give them. You'll know what their favorite is. So just keep it fun and light. We all work really hard every day, and it's important that we're having a good time at work. We certainly ought to be the most healthiest people on earth with all these plants around us every day. Just, enjoy it and think about how you can make your social media platforms be different than anyone else's. Promote those unique items and have fun with it. That's the most important part. Have fun. We're going into the great holiday season here. We'll all be doing a lot of work. Let's just have fun and really share the knowledge that we all have, because people do want to know how to take care of the items they're getting from you. Thanks, Lottie.
Thanks, Jerome. Amazing advice. And I know we've got the grand finale coming up now, and the 2 of you have been planning something kind of behind my back, and I'm slightly worried, but I think that it's going to be amazing. But I know, Helen, do you have a few more tips for you?
Actually, I'm to the finale, and
okay.
I just want to tell, unless you'd like to explain it, Lottie, would you like to explain what we're going to do?
No, I think you should, and I'm a little bit worried again because Jerome's screen. I think he's doing he's doing a great reveal. So this is kind of an interactive part as well. So why don't you explain it, and then as soon as Jerome is ready, we put him on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to do a little quick change too, but Jerome and I were talking. We have had so much fun doing this program for you, and we got to talking about award shows, and wouldn't it be fun for a social media post to do who wore it best and take 2 containers side by side, and you know, like they do in the magazines where unfortunately 2 actresses show up with the same dress and they put that who wore it best and then they vote on it. Well, you could do the same thing with plants. So Jerome and I decided we're going to go to an award show. We're going to do a quick change here and then actually show you our plants that we did. We both did pumpkins from Teleflora, the white pumpkins, which I love. And you guys get to vote on who wore it best. So I'll be right back. Okay, I am ready. We got a little sparkle going on.
I love it. I love the sparkles. Jerome, are you ready for you? I'm going to add you to the spotlight here.
Here I am.
Okay.
I got my paisley jacket on and I'm ready to go. We're on the runway.
Red carpet ready. Let's go. So, Jerome, do you want to tell us what you did first?
Sure, absolutely. So I took the white pumpkin, obviously, which is a great container from Teleflora, and certainly in keeping with the season. And then I just put a very popular seasonal plant, which is the croton plant, and a philodendron, which is very hardy. And then I took I put some pea gravel down in the bottom for drainage, as I said earlier, and then we went ahead and put some birch branch in to create a column effect. And then I rested the lid up on top of the birch branches to kind of extend that and create an elongated pumpkin lid, if you would. And then to give it a little bit of a Halloween vibe, I did an old trick that we've all done a million times, is by using a hot glue pan. And I take 2 blocks of foam like this, and I simply put it in the hot glue, and then I dab it back and forth and wait until it gets almost cool, and it creates webbing, so then you can just stretch it around the container like that. And so it creates this spider web effect. And then I just threw a couple little scary spiders on there to kind of tie it in with the season.
I love it. Spooky and Halloweeny. Thank you, Jerome.
You're welcome.
Helen, tell us about your arrangement.
So I took a little bit different approach. So I'm doing a lot of weddings these days, and I kept thinking of Cinderella in her carriage, her pumpkin carriage, right? So what did you call it, Jerome? A boutique? Is that where you usually go? Okay, well, I went to the boutique and found some gold stickers that I embellished the pumpkin with. I don't know if you can see those very well. And just put in my little pothos that would halo around it, a little bit of gold ribbon. And then really to pop it, I put some curly ting in there just to give it some drama. Of course, I kind of like the bling anyway, so it was right up my alley. Something a little different, something to think about.
I love it. Thanks, Helen. Really great ideas, both of you. I am going to launch the poll, and by the miracle of modern science, hopefully, all of you who are watching will be able to vote, and then one of you will win. We haven't decided what you're going to win yet, but you will win awesome. Something.
A wonderful bottle of water.
There we go. Maybe we'll send you some water. But I'm going to launch the poll here, and then if everybody could vote, that would be amazing. So it's just either Helen or Jerome. So I'm launching it right now.
But this is such a fun social media event, and you can do it on Reels. You can do it on your stories on Instagram or Facebook. Getting that public interaction is so important, and it is so much fun to go back and look and see which one they like best. You could just do it with 2 different varieties of plants. You don't have to embellish this at all.
You can do it with varieties of roses. You can do it with plants. You can do it with designs. You can do it with anything, and that's what makes it special.
Yeah, and fun. Like Jerome said, we've got to keep it fun, even for ourselves and for the public too. Just keep that interaction with everyone.
Exactly. Thank you so much to both of you. You are both an inspiration and have taught me, and I know everybody listening here. Thank you so much for all your hard work to make this program. I know it's not always easy, especially when we're coming into that crazy busy time. And just to let everybody know, we will be posting pictures and links on our social media. I think we had a little technology glitch today in that the chat was disabled. So I'll put some links and stuff on our social media. Before we announce who won, I did want to just say a little, send our love and prayers to our friends in Florida. And I know that we have several of our team members and lots of our member shops there. So I did want to send our love and prayers to everybody there and stay safe. Then, yes, darling.
I just wanted to interject that also, as an industry, we need to understand, obviously, the safety of all the people is most important in Florida, but this is tremendously going to affect our greenery and our plant supply. So we're doing a plant program. Everyone needs to understand it's hitting directly in some of the major Florida plant growing areas, and it's going to really affect our plants to the point where we might not get some for a while. So just needed to mention that as well. Obviously, their safety is most important, but it's going to affect all of us globally here in the United States with our plant supply.
That's a really good point. Thank you, Jerome. I appreciate you mentioning that. And on that note, I just wanted to let you know that the winner with a whopping 82% of the people who voted is Helen.
Oh, thank
So
you so much.
thank you for playing, and we so appreciate you. Thank you to all of you here who are watching our program today. We appreciate you. We have so much more coming up for you in the next couple of months, and we will see you very, very soon. Thank you again. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
now. Thank you.
Bye.